And there we are, live on YouTube. Sorah Dubitsky, this mic is all yours.
Ah. Thank you, Lynn. I was listening. I've been in the room for like a couple of hours, I think, just listening, multitasking. I was doing some school stuff, but listening. And what occurred to me in listening to Susan and Myrna is the breadth of what A Course in Miracles covers. Following the lecture, you go from talking about sickness to forgiveness to gratitude to, like so much of life, if not all of life, is what A Course in Miracles is about. This life, planet Earth. And what the Course promises is peace of mind. So I'm Dr. Dubitsky. Sorah Dubitsky, and for now I'm here every Tuesday at 2:30. My schedule might change with the new year, but for now I'm here. And I'm kind of here because my friend, or I am here because of my friend Dove, who I've known for many, many years, and he was encouraging me to teach. Which I used to do with my husband. Of course, miracles came into my life at the end of 1980. So that's a long time ago. I don't even like think about how long ago that is. And I've been doing a series as an introduction to the course. What is the Course in Miracles? And I started like the first class talking a little bit about my journey and a main point, and I'm looking at some notes here. Um, a main point I made was that the course teaches God did not create this world. And I know I spoke about forgive me if you've heard this and I'm repeating myself, but I don't know who's watching on a weekly basis. So, here's the story. I'm going to ground the story in what happened in my life. Anyway, when I was seeking and, I needed answers, and someone gave me a copy of the Course in Miracles, and I went to a meeting, and the thing that got me it was the thought that God did not create this world. And I know I talked about that my husband of blessed memory used to say, if God is real, he's crazy. He had a better character than God. And if you do a literal reading of the Bible, especially the Old Testament, like, whoa, who wants to have anything to do with that God? He'll smite you for picking up a stick on the Sabbath. And there are rabbis and teachers who aren't, give absolutely inspired readings based on the Bible. So I'm not here to put down the Bible. I just thought that that thought system that God created this world, it never worked for me. And then to find out, God did not create this world, that made sense. And then who did create this world is you. You are creating your own world. And we can look on that at that at many different levels. Um, but the level, let's see, and what I have already previously talked about is that the course is a thought system, it's a philosophy, a psychology, and a spiritual discipline. And put those together and it becomes a thought system. And what do I mean about a thought system? It's a way of looking at the world. And it's a way of looking at the world based on fear. And sorry, it's a way of looking at the world based on love. The conventional way of looking at the world is based on fear. That we're separate from one another, that I got to protect myself from you, that the golden rule, instead of do unto others as they would do unto you, the golden rule has become do it to them before they do it to you. Attack, defense, blame, shame. It's all of those are inherent in this, in the 3D reality. And what the course is offering is a different way of looking at the world, but it needs to be practiced. One of the teachers, Ken Watnick, used to talk about, and there's places in the course that say that, God, the thought system of the world is based on God's going to get you. God is a fearful God. Um, and what the course is offering is a gentle lesson in, there's another God. There's another way of looking at the world through the eyes of love. The God is not fear. God is not the God of the Old Testament, who punishes. The God is not the God we come to know. We come to know and experience. And many people, not only in the course, many people teach this. Just this morning, I was talking about, I was, at my gym, and I see one of the gym ladies, and she said, "How are you?" And, "Oh, I'm tired." And, "Why am I tired?" And I'm working, and I was been working all day. And she started to launch into her own kind of diatribe about God, like, just like pray, just pray. She was talking about prayer, and pray as if it's already done. Pray as if, as was, you already did it. What's the prayer? You ask, you pray, and then say thank you, that it's already done. And that kind of thinking, that you ask and pray and trust, and that's what I'm going to talk about, that's what's inherent in the course's thought system. And so, years ago, a man named Jerry Jampolsky wrote a book called Love is Letting Go of Fear. As we let go of fear and we turn to God. So let me go back to God. What the course teaches is that, God is inside you. This, where do you turn to answers within? That we have this like umbilical cord, the connecting us to the universe, loving creator. I've heard, in New Age circles, a lot of people don't want to use the word God. It's, strikes, speaks of like old-fashioned stuff. So we talk about creator, or the universe, or actually, even in Judaism, there's one of the rabbis talked, the term was Rabbona Shalom, means master of the universe. But that master of the universe, of course, is thinking is inside, or you are connected to it. And that's what the course teaches, that, bottom line, we are not separate from source. The Garden of Eden story, God threw us out of the garden because we ate of the fruit of the tree of life, knowledge. And that's not what, that's a story. That's one creation story. Dove, um, anyway, there's comment in chat, which I understand. So that story of being thrown out of the garden, and ever since then you're a miserable sinner, and you've got to, be careful of punishment, or care, the snake is like, so God's gonna get you. That whole story encompasses, yeah, God's gonna get you. God's angry at you. The course teaches another way of living in the world. that God, punishing God. My husband used to talk about, creation stories, and one of his favorite creation stories was of an Indian tribe in the South Pacific, and they felt this world was created by a giant turtle defecating. And I'm trying to remember what the name of the tribe was, but yeah, so there are different kinds of creation stories, and the Course's creation story is no, God didn't throw you out of the Garden of Eden. You chose to leave, and then you forgot that you chose this, and it's I don't know if you can share an experience or feel what it's like to feel separate. That's what that story is. That at some point, yeah, whether it was humanity, whether it was another consciousness, whatever form people were in, we chose to separate. We chose to separate from love. They were just talking about Jung, and I think that's one of the Jungian stories about. They mentioned the word individualization or individualism. That one way to look at it is as kids grow up, they individualize, they separate from the parents, they become different. But the key is to remember you're always connected to the parent. And I'd say that's a really good metaphor for A Course in Miracles as we go through the process. And what's the process? Live your life. Your life is the what is practicum, the experimental, um, the place where you experiment with, well, am I going to be fearful here or am I going to trust? And that's what I want to talk about before I get there. Um, I showed a diagram a few weeks ago, there's a choice. Um, in our individualization, to keep that memory of connection alive. So the Course's story is you're always connected to source. That's another word for God. You're always connected to love. That's another word for God. You always connected to the universe, master of the universe, creator. And how are you connected? You're connected through what the Course calls the Holy Spirit. An umbilical cord. You're also connected in the Course's teachings through the figure of Jesus. Nice Jewish girls don't believe in Jesus. But the Jesus of the Course is presented entirely different. He's not here for any kind of retribution. He presented as an elder brother, not the only son of God, which is what Christianity made of him, but a son of God, a Christ, and that we're all part of. So again, to keep going back to the Course's thought system, that we're always connected. There is no separation. And we're connected to source, God, we're connected to love, we're connected to each other. And it's interesting, three of the things there was a class right before this, and then at least three of the things or two of the things that I could see now. The speaker mentioned, and her name was Susan, and my legal name is Susan. She, before she mentioned these things, there were things I thought of. One was the song "Row, Row, Row Your Boat," and then I had that thought, and 5 minutes later, here's this woman named Susan who's singing, "Row, Row, Row Your Boat" song, and I will talk about that. What was the other one? Yeah, she was talking about laughter and how laughter is healing. And the thought I had was, oh yeah, Norman Cousins. I studied him when I was in grad school. We really like he was one of the like what's a good word, progenitors of mind body healing, uh, or examples of mind body healing. So I was thinking about Norman Cousins, and then the speaker Susan said Norman Cousins, or it might have been the other speaker. I'm not sure. It might have been Myrna. There were two speakers, and as oh, look at that. I thought it, and here it is. Who, where is reality then? And one of the phrases I used last week was, like what we learn is that life is an inside job. And we live our lives mostly like from the outside in. Things happen in the world, we react, that becomes our reality, and that's what we put out into the world. In the Course's thought system, life is lived from the inside out. That we develop a thought system of looking at the world differently, and things happen. It's called A Course in Miracles. I've been writing a book, and it occurred to me, like I was like struggling, and struggling is antithetical to what the Course teaches. And I will read a quote. But I was struggling with it, and I thought, I really need help, and I would hire someone. Um, and the very next day, I got an email from a friend in California that had an attachment of a company that does self-publishing, and they design covers and they do proofreading, and I go, well, I just thought that, and here it is. And that's what the process becomes. I'm not a body needs healing. The world is not real, needs healing. The world and body is an attack against love. True forgiveness is waking from the dream. Okay, that's a whole other teaching. That the only thing, that sickness, it's a whole other teaching. We are here to wake up. And how do we wake up? And very simply, trust. So I mentioned before, that the story, the world story is you're a miserable sinner. God's going to get you. You better watch out. What's the song? You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not shout. Santa Claus is coming to town. Like, is he going to give me gifts, or is he going to leave me, is it lumps of coal, or, something? But, you better be good, otherwise Santa Claus isn't going to get you anything. So that's the world stream. Good, bad, be careful, don't trust. And sometimes I think in certain times it gets magnified. What we're here, what the people who use the Course in spiritual practice, what we learn is this idea of trust. And what is it we're trusting? We're trusting the inner direction. Let's see. And if I have to find or I have it on my screen somewhere. Yeah, okay, I can read it from here. So what is it we're trusting? Ourselves. Trust is the foundational quality of what we call a teacher of God. What's a teacher of God? Someone who's loving, someone who's non-reactive, someone who sees the world through these eyes of forgiveness. Um, becomes less judgmental. Um, a teacher of God, we're not trusting in doctrines, beliefs, or even in the courses and institution. It's the presence behind the words, the inner guidance, the gentle voice, deep knowing that arises when fear dissolves. That's the moving from fear to love, which is what I've just spoke about. Trust is a state of being. Um, it's not a mental affirmation. It's grounded in this idea that I'm connected to source. There's nothing to be afraid of, not even death. And again, that's a whole separate healing, sickness or teaching, sickness, death, um, we're here to wake up from the dream of that we are separate. We're here to wake up from the dream that we're struggling. And trust is foundational. It's not an emotion, it's a state of being. In I'm looking for it, it becomes an inner orientation. And things happen that support that. And there's one quote that I love, and it's like foundational for what trust is. I'm reading some more. When you truly trust, you stop micro engineering life. You let the movement of love, guidance, intuition, or whatever you call essence, spirit, who we really are. That is what guides us. That our reality is spirit. The physical reality is not spirit. It's that's what I was saying before. Like the course's path is from the inside out, and what's in the inside, spirit. And someone mentioned before, I'm going to be running out of time soon. Someone mentioned before, death is a gentle laying aside of the body, like there is no death. Well, I had a sister. And I can honestly say that's how she died. She left her body. She, passed away, which I prefer to the word death. But it was so gentle. She like one minute she was here, and then the next minute she was gone. And I that there's nothing to be afraid of. Like my husband. Well, I still get messages from him, and again, that's a separate teaching. But I know there's no death. And if there's no death, then what's there to be afraid of? So I just want to read one passage. This is from the textbook, and it has to do with trust, which is the main theme of my course, of my talk today, trusting. Am I listening to the voice for fear, which the course calls the ego? Am I listening to the voice for love? And that the voice for love is what's connected to God, the universe, creator, master of the universe, even universe, people like. So people use that term. So here, you may wonder how you can be, I'm going to read this. This is, if you can see this is my book. Oh my God, in 1988. You may wonder how you can be at peace while you are in time. There is so much here. There's so much that must be done before the way to peace is open. Perhaps this seems impossible to you, but ask yourself if it is possible that God would have a plan for your salvation. Salvation, I'm saying, is waking up, is being happy, is being at peace, and being able to forgive. Um, I think I have a better one. Um, where is that? Here it is. Okay, ask yourself if it is possible that God would have a plan for your salvation that does not work. Once you accept his plans, and that means setting aside what you think your life should look like. Fame, fortune, yeah, and trust that there is another way of living in the world that offers peace and security, and that's what this is talking about. Once you accept his plan as the one function you would fulfill, there will be nothing else the Holy Spirit will not arrange for you without your effort. He will go before you, making straight your path and leaving in your way no stones to trip on and no obstacles to bar your way. I mean, that's a big promise. You trust that it's all going to be okay. Marianne Williamson once said in a speech that one word, the course can be summed up in one word: relax. I'll just finish it and that'll be my time. Um, Nothing you need will be denied you, not one seeming difficult, but will melt away before you reach it. You need take thought for nothing, careless of everything, except the only purpose that you would fulfill. As that was given you, so will its fulfillment be. And that would be, we could talk about forgiveness. God's guarantee will hold against all obstacles, for it rests on certainty and not contingency. It rests on you. And what could be more certain than a son of God? So, to let go of, struggle and grasping and fear and hatred, and to open the heart. The one thing I can say about my experience with the Fords is I have a much more open heart. I am much more um, I look on people differently. I look on people through the eyes of love. And that's a big deal in this world. So that's my time. I will talk to you next week, and I thank Dove and Lynn for this opportunity. My name again, Dr. Sorah Dubitsky. I have a Substack page, drsorahdubitsky.substack.com. And I also have another podcast, Let's Talk Sex, because I am a sex educator and have been for like a long time. And it's funny to talk about sexuality and spirituality. So you can find my work. Let's Talk Sex Official, Birds, Bees, and Beyond, and it's on YouTube. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you next week.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sorah Dubitsky.